أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال وجعلنا الله وإياكم من أنصار الحجة عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام. Welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to our fourth lesson in the set of series Hussein Starz. Imam Hussein Timeline Part 2. This is a lesson, inshallah, that we will discuss today. First thing first, we start our lesson with the salam of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi afdalus salati wassalam. And as I mentioned in our previous lessons, whenever you wake up for Salat al-Subh, after you recite Salat al-Subh, you perform your prayer, you sit down to recite Tasbih Sayyida Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. When you finish with that Tasbih, stand up, place your right hand on your heart and recite the salam of Imam al-Hussein Aba Abdullah. When you do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless your day. So the first thing we do is we recite the salam of Imam al-Hussein, and inshallah we dive right in to the fourth lesson, Timeline Part 2. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifina'ik وأناخت برحلك عليكم مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم أهل البيت. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. In our previous lesson, we spoke about the timeline of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdalus salati wassalam. Our knowledge about Imam al-Hussein is limited to the day of Ashura. Imam lived for 58 years. So before the day of Ashura, the Imam, our third Imam, Sayyid al-Shuhada, had many stories, many ahadith, narrations that we can learn from these events, these stories. And for us to know about our Imam before the day of Ashura, this month is a great opportunity to immerse ourselves in knowing our Imam, to have more knowledge about our Imam. Unfortunately today, in this time and age where we have lots and lots of ways to require information and we have lots and lots of social platforms, people spend their time learning about individuals that is not really worth of our time. Yet when it comes to Aba Abdullah al-Hussein or any other Imams, we need to do what? At least have 1 hour dedicated of the day to learn more about Imam al-Hussein, to know more about Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, to know more about Fatima al-Zahra, salamullahi alayha. I've been teaching these classes for many years in my college, Imam Ali College, with the young lads, with the youth. And I thought this year to share this with everyone, and everyone can benefit from it. So in our previous class, part 1 of the timeline of Imam al-Hussein, and I made it very simple and very easy for you to follow, we spoke about 1 and 2. If you remember, we spoke about the birth of Imam al-Hussein, the date and time, the place of his birth, and of course his family members, the household that the Imam belongs to, and some stories that happened at the time of the birth. And then of course we dived into the time that the Imam spent with his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the events that happened in that time. For this lesson, part 2 of the timeline of Imam al-Hussein, lesson 4, what we want to do is we want to continue with the timeline, and for this one we want to talk about the time the Imam spent with his parents and the time the Imam spent with his father Amir al-Mu'mineen, during the time the Imam became Khalifa. He became a caliph. So this is the time we want to speak about. The timeline 3 and 4. So here you have it, 3 and 4. And you can download this from the school's website and you can go through them at your own free time. So 3 and 4, 4AH to 11AH. So you know, Imam al-Hussein was born 4th year of the Hijrah, and the Imam was martyred 61st year after Hijrah, 61 AH. So the time that the Imam spent with his parents, and what we done is here we have divided them into 2 parts. One, the time that the Imam spent with his mother Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha, that is from 4AH to 11AH. And then of course we have the time the Imam spent with his father, commander of the faithful. Of course it was from his birth until the martyrdom of Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib. At the time the Imam was 63, Imam Ali 40 AH. So you can see here with his parents ending with the martyrdom of Fatima al-Zahra, 11 AH, and then 4 to 40 AH to the time of the martyrdom of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. So with his parents, in our previous lesson, we spoke about the events, the most important parts of this Imam's life. At the time, the Imam was very young, and that was the hadith that is known as Hadithul Kisa, the event of Kisa, the one that proves the purity of our Imam, the purity of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali afdalus salati wassalam, Lady Fatima al-Zahra, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and Imam al-Hasan. These 5, Ahlul Kisa, Fatima wa abiha wa ba'liha wa baniha. And we spoke about, with that, we spoke about also the event of Mubahala. The event of Mubahala, that is another proof of how important and how valuable this Imam is. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he brought Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein as his children. And when the people of Najran saw this scenery, when they saw these 5 coming toward them, they begged them not to be cursed by them. So we spoke about these 2. Now this is the 3rd one. So in this household, the household that is the holy household of Ahlul Bayt, the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, we have many stories. One of the one that stands out is the story of the feeding of the poor and the orphan and the captive. And we have this in the Quran al-Karim, Surah An-Nisa, verses 8 to 9. The verses are these: Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. And they give food in spite of love for it to the needy, the orphan, and the captive. The needy, the orphan, and the captive. إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. Saying we feed you only for the face, i.e. approval of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We wish not from you reward for gratitude or gratitude. We don't want anything from you. We do it only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا يَوْمًا عَبُوسًا قَمْطَرِيرًا. Surely we fear from our Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a strange, distressful day. So these verses tell us the story of this, that one day Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, grandchildren, Rasulullah's grandchildren, Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein, who were at the time, toddlers at the time, fell very ill. They were very sick. The Prophet advised their concerned parents. He advised Imam Ali and Lady Fatima al-Zahra, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib and the Lady of Light, that to make a vow to God, and that if Hassan and Hussein recovered, they would fast for 3 days and make a vow. They did. They did make a vow, a nidhr, we call it, nidhr. And we are now in the month of Muharram and Safar. You hear this a lot. Nidhr of al-Baneen, nidhr of Sayyida Bibi Ruqayya, nidhr of Lady Zainab, Bibi Zainab, nidhr of Abu Fadl Abbas, salamullahi alayhim ajma'in. It's a vow that if you get something, you do something. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he said to Imam Ali and Lady Fatima al-Zahra that if they get better, they are healthy once again, you fast for 3 days. By the grace of God, Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, of course, recovered, and the family, along with their maid, Fiddah, Radwanullah ta'ala alayha, began to fast. What in short are the events that displayed the utmost level of generosity, to which this is mentioned in the holy book in Quran al-Kareem. The family fasted their first day, and as they were about to break their fast on the small amount of bread they had, there was a knock on the door. It was a what? A destitute man who said, O household of the Prophet, I'm a poor Muslim and I am hungry. Will you give me food? Without hesitation, see, without hesitation. There was no back and forth, let's debate this. We have our own food, we're fasting, we're hungry. Without hesitation, the family gave up the little they had to the needy man. And what was it? A loaf of bread and some water. That was it. A loaf of bread and some water. And they slept that night having only water to break their fast. And with these they began their second day of fasting, because we said they're going to fast for 3 days. So the first day, who came to them? The poor, the destitute man. So the next day, as they were about to break their fast on day 2, they heard another knock on the door, the second day. It was an orphan who stood outside their door begging for food, just like the night before. The family gave up their bread and they broke their fast on water alone. So, on the third and final fasting day, someone knocked on the Holy Family's door. It was the recently released non-Muslim prisoner who, just like those before him, pleaded for food. He pleaded for food. Once again, the family gave up all they had. This event is such an important event that we have this in the holy book. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. So this is very important. Let's learn from this. So what does that tell you? The generosity of this holy household. And Imam al-Hussein is among this family. He belongs to this family. So Abu Abdullah al-Hussein was also fasting, and without hesitation he gave his share to the needy, he gave his share to the orphan, and he gave his share to the captive. Now, this is one part of it. If you recite the ayah that comes after this, إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا, saying we feed you only for the face. That means, i.e., what does it mean? Approval of Allah. We wish not from you reward or gratitude. It's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, dear brothers and sisters, my dear young ones, and I really have my love for you. This is why I'm doing these classes for you, for the next generation that will come, inshallah, to take over and run these majalis and these classes. Whenever you want to do something, do it only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala approval. And where do I get this example from? From our role models, from Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam. That's what they did. They did that only for Allah the Almighty. They did not wait for others to approve of their doings. They didn't wait for the miskin, for the yatim, for the asir, the needy, or the orphan, or the captive, to give them a reward, or any other person. They wanted that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We call this what? Ikhlas fil amal. In English we call it sincerity. And sincerity plays a very important part in our a'mal. If you want your a'mal, your deeds, to be accepted by God the Almighty, you should be what? Sincere. One of the reasons, the message of Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi until today is fresh and everlasting, is because of Imam's sincerity. It's because of the companion's sincerity. It's because of the family of the Imam's sincerity. So when you sit down, inshallah, from now on, and you want to serve Ahlul Bayt, you want to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to serve the Prophet, peace be upon him, do it only for God the Almighty. Whether you want to go help in the center or in the mosque, or you want to prepare food, or whatever it is, do it only for God, asking Allah's approval, asking Allah's pleasure. So now, continuing, the martyrdom of Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. In our previous lesson, we spoke about the martyrdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, 11 AH. So his beloved mother, Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha, was martyred at the age of 18. At the age of 18. 75 to 95 days after her father, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam's martyrdom. So she didn't last for long. After 75 days, in other narrations, we have other ahadith, we have some narrations saying 95 days. They attacked the so-called companions. They attacked the house of Fatima al-Zahra, the house of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. They burned the door and they attacked Lady Fatima al-Zahra. And from that unfortunate tragedy, this lady passed away. Imam al-Hussein at that time was only 7 years old when he became an orphan. And in the picture, you can see, and the picture says 1,000 words. The picture, it shows you of how oppressed this lady was. Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha, raising these two sons of hers and raising those two girls of hers, Imam al-Hassan, Imam al-Hussein, Lady Zainab and Lady Kulthum. She raised them to be these great role models. And this is a message for all of our mothers, to all of our dear mothers, that you have a very big responsibility of teaching your youngsters the love of Ahlul Bayt salamullahi alayhi ajma'in, salamullahi alayhim ajma'in, especially the love of Imam al-Hujjah salamullahi alayhi, because now Imam al-Hujjah is waiting from us some good actions. He's waiting that we change the course of our life and we look at the top priority things in our life. Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi was killed 61 AH 1383 years ago But we have an Imam today in our time, the awaited Imam, Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, that wants us to change our life and to become his soldiers. So this responsibility falls on the parents, on the father and the mother. Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha is the first martyr of Shia. The first Shia martyr. The first martyr that loved Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayh. The first. أول شهيدة الولاية. Who? Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. And what did she say? She said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, when I die, ادفني ليلا لا نهارا سرا لا جهارا. Bury me in the dead of night, bury me in secret, don't let anyone see where I'm buried. And you can see from the picture here that few loyal companions came and they took this body of hers, the body of Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha, and her children, these newly orphaned children, to bury this lady. And this is one of the events that occurred in the time of Imam Hussein salamullahi alayhi, and he became an orphan at a young age of 7, him and his siblings. So salamullah ala Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. And now I want to make this point, brothers and sisters, whenever you go to a majlis, unfortunately in Sydney we don't have any majalis, we are all doing live streaming. But if you come from a country, or you're listening from a country or a city that you are free to go to the majalis, know that the majalis you attend are the majalis of Fatima al-Zahra. She is the one receiving the condolences for the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein. So when you enter this majalis, enter the majalis with all due respect. Sit down, pay attention to the speaker, pay attention to the qari, to the one who is reciting, and respect the place you are in. It's very important that we do that. So, and inshallah, Lady Fatima al-Zahra will reward us in the hereafter. Now, quickly, we go through these 4 to 40 AH. 12 to 25 AH, according to some narrations, he came under the care of al-Baneen, salamullahi alayha, the mother of Abu Fadl Abbas and his brothers. And inshallah, we will have a special class about al-Baneen, salamullahi alayha. 12 to 25 AH, again, over the years, his family was secluded in the society because of Bani Umayyah. And inshallah, we have a special class about Bani Umayyah and why Bani Umayyah did not like Ahl al-Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam. Again, 12 to 25 AH, along with Imam al-Hasan alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, he helped Imam Ali alayhi salam in establishing a support system for the poor and the orphans of the society. 26 AH, at the age of 22 years old, he welcomed his brother Abu Fadl Abbas, Qamar Bani Hashim, to his family. 35 AH, his father Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, became the 4th caliph. After the death of Uthman, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was then the Khalifa. 40 AH, his beloved father, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, was martyred in Masjid Kufa. Masjid al-Kufa, the Imam was assassinated there at the year 40 AH. So 36 AH to 38 AH, the Imam participated in the battles when he was 32 to 35 years old. He participated in the battles of Jamal, Siffin, and Nahrawan. Jamal, Siffin, and Nahrawan. These 3 battles that the Imam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of faithful, he went into war with many reasons, with many people. Imam Hussein was alongside his father and his brother Imam al-Hasan. So he was next to Imam Ali, and he supported Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali afdalus salati wassalam in all of his endeavors, and he supported Imam al-Hasan also when the Imam became an Imam. 38 AH is the birth of the fourth Imam, Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein, alayhi afdalus salati was salam, when Imam Hussein ibn Ali, Imam Sayyid al-Shuhada, was 34 years old. 40 AH, at the age of 63, Imam Ali was killed in the mihrab, and Imam al-Hassan becomes the Khalifa, but remains one for only 6 months. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, Kareem Ahl al-Bayt, alayhi afdalus salati was salam, is forced into signing the peace treaty with Muawiyah. And inshallah we go through the peace treaty as well, if it needs be, because it's very important that if we understand the peace treaty of Muawiyah and Imam al-Hassan, we understand more of the revolution of Imam al-Hussein, salamullahi alayhi. So with this, we understand how important it is for us to know more about our Imam, Imam al-Hussein, salamullah alayhi. We have these 2 months, Muharram and Safar. Muharram and Safar. These 2 months, we can put our time, our efforts more into learning about these individuals, starting with Imam al-Hussein, and then to Abu Fadl Abbas, and to other companions of the Imam. Every one of them has a story. Every one of them has an example that we derive from them many lessons, especially in this time and age, that we need these examples. We need these lessons that we can take them and implement them in our life, implement them in our day-to-day routine. Now, if I learned about Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi, what can I learn? You can learn a person who was righteous. You can learn that a family did not eat anything for 3 days, and they just only drank water. You understand of their sacrifices. You understand how sincere this family was. This is the family you want to follow. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he recited the hadith called Hadith al-Thaqalain. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said this hadith. قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, إني تارك فيكم الثقلين كتاب الله وعترتي أهل بيتي ما إن تمسكتم بهما لن تضلوا بعدي أبدا. I leave to you 2 weighty things, 2 most important things after my demise, after my death. They said, what are these 2? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says, Kitab Allah meaning what? Quran al-Kareem. وَعِتْرَتِي أَهْلَ بَيْتِي, and my family members. So you need the book and you need the family. You need the book and you need the family. Now I tell you this, for example, I have a book here, and inshallah we will also go through this book as well. I don't know if you can see it, Nasaih Ghassan al-Tarbawiyya. This book, it's a series of books. If I don't know how to read, I need a teacher to open this book and go through this book with me. And it's a very simple book, isn't it? It's a very simple book. Just imagine, can Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam leave the ummah, leave the Muslims without someone translating the Quran? Definitely not. That is why Rasulullah continues with the hadith and he says, ما إن تمسكتم بهما لن تضلوا بعدي أبدا. You have to do what? You have to hold on to both of them. Not one, both of them. You need 2 of them. You need the book, Quran al-Kareem, and you need the family. You need Quran, you have to recite the Quran, you have to go through the ayat of the Quran, you have to immerse yourself with the ayat and implement that in your life. And also you need someone who translates to you the ayat, the one who knows about the ayat, the one who is knowledgeable about the ayat. Once again, thank you very much for listening to our 4th lesson, timeline part 2. So you can find on our website many workbooks, worksheets, books and articles, and of course you can email us. Inshallah we will get back to you with any questions, with any suggestions إن شاء الله. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة والسلام على حبيبه ونبيه محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.